This is the City of Waupaca, third Tuesday of the month, City Council meeting.
Hey, welcome everybody. We actually have a public hearing and then also another short meeting before we get into the regular agenda for tonight. This is a public hearing on the Inland Lakes District, and I'll call this meeting to order. It's Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, 6:02 p.m. And I'll have Sandy call the roll.
Brian Smith.
Here.
Colin Dykstra.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Dimitri Martin.
Here.
Mary Fair.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
All right, and so the public notice is basically the budget for 2023. It shows your 21, this is on page 2 of your packet, 2021 actual, and then the 2022 estimated, of course, because we're not finished with 2022 yet, and then what they're proposing for 2023. So the public hearing is really on the 2023 proposed budget. So I think Aaron and Justin are going to kind of team up on this and just explain the 2023 budget.
I'll take it, Mayor.
Thanks, Justin.
So the city started allocating $10,000 to this fund every year. That was several years ago. I can't remember exactly what it was. To start building up this fund again, as we are trying to keep our lakes clean and clear in all bodies of water in the city. Lake management plan, which was presented by Ontario this last weekend, that is going to be finalized really soon. And with that are recommendations to continue keeping our lakes in pristine condition. So in the past, or the last couple of years, a lot of those funds were going to help develop that plan, and now moving to the future, it will be try to implement that with several things such as invasive species and divers and water analysis and things like that. That pretty much sums it up.
Well done. I have nothing to add.
All right, thanks. So as I said, this is a public hearing, so this is the opportunity for the public to give testimony either in favor of this 2023 proposed budget or give opposition to this budget. So at this time, I'll take testimony in favor. If you'd like to give testimony in favor of the proposed 2023 budget, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. Anybody? Anybody that'd like to give testimony in favor? Hearing none, we'll take testimony in opposition. If you'd like to give testimony in opposition to the budget for the Inland Lakes, please, again, step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Any opposition? Any opposition? All right, hearing none, I'll declare this hearing closed at 6:05 p.m. And we will go right into the actual Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation Annual District Meeting, and I'll call that meeting to order. I'll call that meeting to order today, again, Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. And it's 6:05 p.m. In attendance, we have all of the commissioners, as we had said at the public hearing. You do have an agenda that you can see in your packet, which is on page 3. Thank you. Actually, that's the minutes from last meeting. Okay, all right, so it's actually on page 2, all right? So you can see the agenda at the top. There are 6 items there. There are no changes to the agenda, right, Justin? Everything's good? All right, we would need a motion to approve the agenda then.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Laurie, second by Dimitri, that we approve the agenda as printed. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We have minutes from last year's meeting, which are on page, remember, this is an annual meeting that we have with Inland Lakes. So on page 3 and 4 of your packet, you have minutes of last year's annual meeting, which was held on September 7th, 2021. We would be looking for a motion to approve those minutes and place them on file.
I'd move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Chestnut, that we approve the minutes of last year's meeting. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, resolution IL 51, which is actually the budget for 2023. Justin did go through that with you during the public hearing. Is there anybody that has any questions about that budget at this time? Any council members? Again, we'd be looking for a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Motion by Fair, second by Peterson, that we approve resolution number IL 51, which is a budget for 2023 for the Inland Lakes. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Henry Bellicker,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
and Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, I think that's it. So we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Olson, that we adjourn this Inland Lakes meeting until our next annual meeting, which should be held in August of 2023, subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 6:09 PM. All right, let's get to page 7 of your packet is where the agenda is. You all set? Okay. We have our regular city council meeting tonight. Tonight is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, and it is 6:09 PM. I'll call this meeting to order. And as always, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and we'll ask Sandy to read the clerk's open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And Sandy, would you take roll also?
Brian Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Lori Chestnut,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Henry Bellicker,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Mary Fair,
Here.
and Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
All right, and Sandy, you want to start the staff?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'm Sandy Stibbs, City Clerk.
Aaron Jensen, City Administrator.
Eric, you're up.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Jared Rakey, Community and Economic Development.
Justin Barris, Director of Public Works.
Brian Hosell, Chief of Police.
Thanks. As always, Josh Warner, who is our IT, is in the back running the cameras and so on. And also Kathy Kaza and Stephanie are both in the building, so if we need anything from them, they will be able to come down and meet with us. Next up is the consent agenda. You have one item on there, Sandy, that you want to add to?
Yes, letter D, approval of bills was uploaded to the city website.
I did. Under monthly reports A1, we would ask that you delete that off of your consent agenda. With that, we would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with those changes.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Veliker, that we approve the consent agenda with those two amendments. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under regular agenda, Sandy, you have something.
I do. Additional information was uploaded to the city website regarding number 9, new business, letter A, the conditional use permit for Harmony Towers LLC.
That's the one addition for tonight, otherwise the regular agenda is as printed, so we'd be looking for a motion with that amended agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Olson, that we approve the regular agenda as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Under non-agenda items and announcements, we have a presentation on the school referendum. We got a team here, Steve Klisman and Todd Klisman.
I appreciate your time and taking this time to listen to what we're trying to do. Each one of you should have a packet like this I put by you. What the school's trying to do, we're part of the school safety committee, and so we're looking to go to referendum and asking the voters to allow us to ask for $3.875 million to do school safety. And it's only for the safety thing. That money would not be used for anything else, not operational or anything. It's for specific, for the safety. There will be more that we're going to be doing on this, but this is specifically what we're asking for. If you look through that, the brochure on the front, and that's what I would consider the front. This is what we're looking to do, and it has some diagrams and drawings of the schools, each of the schools that we are going to do. And it also has the amount of money that we're going to spend at each school. So through this referendum, we're looking at, it's going to be like 11 cents per thousand, so like a $100,000 house. Your annual fee will be $11. And for 10 years. It'll be for 10 years. So, and we're very conscientious of obviously the taxpayers' money. How we got to this point was we've had some issues, and we want to be proactive, and we had company come in and look at the school and give us suggestions on what we need to have done to minimize the risks that we take putting the school. So,
If I can interject. What we're really looking to do is form single point entries for all the schools. So all the staff, all the students come in through a single point. That way we don't have 20 doors being used. That's where districts have had problems in the past.
So, it's all pretty self-explanatory here. If there's any questions, there's Ron Sari's email is on the bottom of the back of the sheet, and I encourage you to get involved. General public has been involved with the safety committee, and we want to make sure everyone's heard. So that's about all I have to say. I don't want to waste too much of your time, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Is there any questions at all on any of this?
Go ahead, Colin.
Does the safety committee have open public meetings that the public can attend?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
they're at
published
the
on
library in the high school. And we, you know, obviously being on the school board, I volunteered and asked to be on it, but you can come in anytime and have input. There's law enforcement on it. There's parents, there's teachers. So, yeah, absolutely. You know, transparency is a big thing with us.
They would find the times for that on the probably school board.
You go on the website and times for that are there. And again, if you have any questions or you want to attend, call down to the school and they will direct you.
Every 3 weeks.
Yep, so.
Terrific, thank you.
Mayor, the next meeting is August 24th at 5:30,
High school library.
high school library.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Well, thank you. I appreciate you putting together this brochure. This is really good. Really explains what.
Ron
what you're
Sari
looking for.
and Carl Hayek did a lot of the work on there, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
I would just have one comment. When I read the actual how the verbiage is going to be on the ballot, this is not like a lot of referendums. This is very easy to understand. So it's written very well.
Thank you.
Because there's no double negatives in it like some referenda are. So
You know what you're voting for or voting against.
so you know exactly what you're voting for. So
Well, I appreciate
That's
you
really
recognizing
good.
that. A lot of people put a lot of time into this.
yeah.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it. If anyone wants, can I leave some brochures
Absolutely.
somewhere on the table there or something? All right. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next up is public input. This is for non-agenda items. If anybody would like to give public input, speak up. Any public input? All right, next up, we have our community reports, department head reports. Looks like Aaron's got double hats tonight, so he's going to be representing the Rotary Club first, and then you might as well just give your report at the same time, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, why not? Thank you, Mayor Smith. So I'm fortunate enough to be working with Rotary. I'm a Rotarian. Also a co-chair with Barb Ladke on the Oktoberfest committee. You'll hear about that a little later. We do have Oktoberfest, which is what you guys know it as. It's actually, the name has switched a little bit this year. It's Rocktoberfest, is what it's been changed to. The Charlie Justman Band, which is always there and does a fantastic job, will start the evening off. That's going to be September 23rd are the plans. And then it's a little different this year. Went with a little bigger name band to try to attract potentially a younger crowd, maybe, a Spicy Thai Band, which I'm sure you've heard of, and they'd be playing on East Fulton Street, which again, you'll see the request for approval of road closures for that. Rotary does a lot of unbelievable acts of service in the community. Obviously, we have a park, Rotary Riverview Park, that they contribute to a ton. They, with the cultural exchange program, do great work with kids outbound and inbound in our community, and can't say enough about not only the efforts that they do, but the people involved. And we're looking forward to that. Henry, I know you're on the committee as well. If you have anything to add to that, I'd be happy to.
Just come.
Yeah, get there. Yeah, tickets are sold by Rotarians as well. I'll have some to sell, so if you guys want to make my job easier and come to me, I'd be happy to sell you a couple.
All right.
Oh yeah, my next report. Okay, let's get into that. All right. So my monthly report can be shown on page 38 of your packet. As you know, we have a couple vacant positions. One that I'll touch on is the building inspector position. Jared's done a really, really nice job, and ushering that process through. We did go through an interview process. Actually, Dimitri, I want to thank you for your time involved in that. Also for some suggestions as we've had to move to a second posting. We had a candidate. It was offered to that candidate. Unfortunately, that candidate did turn it down, ended up staying where that candidate is currently. Other good quality interviews with good quality people, just none of them unfortunately had those credentials at this point. There's a multitude of credentials you can have with a building inspector position. And when we saw that candidate that was offered, how quickly we could hit the ground running with a candidate like that, we thought it would be worth it to ensure that we're giving ourselves every opportunity to attract that type of individual. Dimitri actually had some suggestions in reaching out to the state, going on the state database and finding the list of candidates. Actually, they keep a database of everyone in the state of Wisconsin that has credentials. Jared recently reached out to them individually from a City of Waupaca email and getting the job posting in front of them directly, and then with some good promotional material for the City of Waupaca that's a little different than your typical job posting. So we hope that turns into a few more candidates, and we look forward to going through that process again. Beginning of September is what we're looking at for first review of that second posting. Payroll transition, just want to give a bunch of credit to Jerry, Stephanie, and now Kate, our new deputy treasurer, and working through the payroll transition. We've recently gone to a system that's within our current financial system, which makes a lot of sense, although I will say that there are some challenges moving into a new payroll system when you're in the middle of the summer, and there's a lot of seasonal type positions. And I know that there have been a little bit of hurdles along the way, but they've done a really nice job on answering questions for supervisors and such. So a lot of credit to Stephanie, Jerry, and Kate, and Josh Werner, who also did a lot before we got to this point in helping with implementation. Tonight, I know you saw the notice from Sandy, but I just want to explain this a little further. So tonight we originally were going to have our first committee of the whole meeting, which was a budget workshop for capital projects. We anticipate that to be a fairly long meeting. We also anticipated some of the agenda items on this meeting being a little longer. So rather than, there's a couple reasons, rather than holding a 4 and a half hour meeting where it's hard for me to focus for that long. And we want to make sure we have everyone's full attention for some pretty important topics. And then also actually Justin Fisher from R.W. Baird, who's pretty key in a lot of our conversations to this point with a lot of the structuring of our debt and then some forecasting that we're going to go through with you. He couldn't make it tonight. He had to be in De Pere, and we didn't feel like we could be as productive as we needed to without Justin here. So we're going to move that to Wednesday, August 31st, which is it is a different kind of an off meeting, but we had to line up with Justin Fisher's responsibility. So Wednesday, availability, Wednesday, August 31st at 6 p.m. And you can kind of see in my report on page 39 what that agenda will look like and the topics we'll be covering. Included in that will be Justin and a ton of the work that he's done with his team and an update on the Public Works facility, which is a huge, huge effort. Big weekend coming up. Triathlon, also put a different hat on for a second. And the triathlon board's done a ton of work. And this is the 21st, I believe, Waupaca Area Triathlon. Kids Triathlon on Friday. A ton of people in town for that, and obviously Saturday morning. And then Arts on the Square Saturday night. Hopefully we can dodge rain and lightning. Looks a little tough this weekend, but the triathlon board does an unbelievable job, and hoping to have a good weekend. Crack sealing at the airport, that is scheduled, and Matt and Brittany are working with that. There will be some closures of some runways while some of that happens. That was the big project this year at the airport from a capital and entitlement money standpoint. We are also in our third different rep from the BOA, and there's a transition going on in between our third different rep in probably the 12 to 16 months or whatever it has been. And we are working through some questions with that second rep, moving to our third right now. Right now, I can tell you one of the the big things that Matt and Brittany are talking about and some of the opportunities that exist from some of the entitlement money that has been rolled over from year to year is the construction of potential T-hangers. There's a waiting list of over 12 people that would want to get in T-hangers. It's a revenue generator, and it's very possible that we could do it with the entitlement money that we have for, well, very little city money. So we'll be looking forward to talking about that soon. River North, we're continuing our conversations with HDG. I know you probably haven't heard a ton on this in a while. We've been meeting maybe on average bi-weekly with HDG and kind of going back and forth on hearing their numbers, what it takes to make a project work, giving our feedback to them on what is needed to meet our goals in that area and our goals in providing housing in general. We feel like we're pretty close to having some more details to bring to council through a potential development agreement in the near future, maybe the next 30 to 60 days. So that's a little bit on that. On page 40, you can see my, I guess, recent meetings, notable events since July 13th. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to go through those with you.
Thanks, Aaron. Anybody have any questions of Aaron? All right, let's go over to the library. Eric, welcome.
Good to be here this evening. So very quick couple items as far as a report. The exhibit on the history of the Iola car show wrapped up. We had 3,428 people that visited, including visitors from Texas, Utah, New Jersey, Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Alaska, and even someone from Australia. So very exciting. The Arts Hub exhibit is now up ahead of the Arts on the Square event on August the 17th. I did a live action Monopoly program last week that was a huge hit. I've been working through a few cases of COVID on staff. Makes the scheduling a little bit of a challenge, but working through that. And those are the high points as far as what I have to report this evening.
Thanks, Eric. I did notice that with Arts on the Square going on, the library is actually going to be closed this Saturday. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Just so everybody knows. All right. Thank you. Jared, you want to?
Of course. Thank you very much. My report can be found on page 18 of your packets. Just kind of running through a little bit in the report. We do have a downtown partnership meeting coming up on August 18th. Some really good conversations coming from this. We're trying to do more of a quarterly event or meeting for this group. At this next meeting, we do plan to talk about the Halloween on Main event, possible improvements from the Main Street business side point of view, a potential spring open streets event that they would like to facilitate, the future of downtown flowers, a downtown guide, as well as other promotions and items. Hoping for some good conversation at this next meeting. Code enforcement, trying to do little by little as much as we can, trying to keep up with it and really hit the high level items. Haven't really kept track of them too well, just with that position that was keeping track of them is no longer here. So just trying to take care of the high level ones as best as we can. Fortunate enough, the PD has been gracious enough to assist us with some of the items. I appreciate it. I know they are taking time out of their normal daily duties to assist us with those. So really appreciate that. Continuing developments coming in. It has slowed down a little bit from the zoning side, but from the building permit side of things, it is not slowing down. I can say that from experience as I'm handling a lot of the secretary items for that. Code revisions in the works, still working on those, continuing the discussions. River North zoning, so multitude of zoning changes have come forward to Council Plan Commission regarding the River North area. When we were looking at the River North development, it was realized that a lot of the surrounding businesses were improperly zoned. So staff wanted to take action on that and work with them to get them properly zoned and bring them back into compliance. So at this time, all the zoning districts have been changed. Just a couple of conditional uses to finish up. Aaron already touched on the building inspector position, which is something we're continuing to work through. Another last item here. So myself and our grant writer, Greg Groman, have been working with a nonprofit out of Custer, Wisconsin. It's the Midwest Renewable Energy Association, and they have a program called Grow Solar, which is a group buy program that they competitively procure, solar installer to install, I'll say bulk, residential and small commercial solar arrays. Obviously, the more people who participate in this program, the lower the cost, as they can buy more in bulk from the bigger companies. So they are looking to get the word out just about this opportunity. They had reached out to the city to become a possible partner with them. And really all that means is that we just kind of, talk about their programs, participate, in their programs if we can, get it out to our residents, as we are one of the participating counties that they offer this to. Other communities such as Stevens Point, City of Wausau, Portage County, the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, CAP Services, who we pair with on a lot of things, are already project partners. So, after discussing this with DIRT, discussing this with the Midwest Renewable Energy Association, we felt this was a really great program to pair with our city solar project that's going to be going on the city hall roof and library roof. So we did look to kind of form that partnership with them. The library is actually holding a solar power hour, which is kind of their hour meeting to show and talk about solar, how it could benefit you, pros, cons about it. And that's actually happening on the 24th of August from 6:30 to 7:30 in the evening at the library. So I would encourage you to check that out. There's also a solar power hour virtually if you cannot attend the 824 and you'd still like to learn more. The virtual solar power hour is on 8/17. And if you just search Grow Solar Central Wisconsin in your Google search bar, it will come up. So a great opportunity that staff is trying to take advantage of. It gets some of the word out about what the city of Waupaca is doing, but it also promotes something good for renewables. So kind of a win-win. That's all I got.
Thanks, Jared. Do we have any questions, comments for Jared? Colin, go ahead.
When you refer to the future of the downtown flowers, are you referring to the flowers at the park at the end of downtown that the volunteers put together?
No,
something else?
the planters. So just, with the planters being mainly downtown, a lot of the funding has been really through the city or through the downtown reconstruction project. So really something that really benefits the downtown. So we want to make sure that we involve the businesses in this flower planting, whether that's through the funding of the flowers or, whatever that may be. So having that discussion with them on, what is the future funding going to look like? Is this going to be sustainable throughout, the next 10 years? How can we make that sustainable?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thanks, Jared. Let's go over to Public Works. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. My packet starts on my update is on 20 and goes on to 21 and 22 of the packet. In wastewater land, we are finishing up our big project for the year, which is our 8,000 digester project. We met with the contractor and engineer today. I have a small punch list, things to touch up and fix, minor tweaks that is, and then that should be put back in service here before the end of the month, which is important because we're planning on taking our large digester offline this year yet to do some cleaning and maintenance on the inside of that thing. Doesn't happen very often, so it's something when we get a chance to do, we got to do it. Street side, Main Street, another update on that. So the poems that were out there had to be restained, and I don't know if anybody else noticed, but they weren't done very well the first time. So after the stamping, they came back and they stained the letters, and then they put a sealer over the top, and when they did that, it looked pretty rough and wasn't done very good. So we had them come back just in time for Arts Appreciation Week. and they look really nice. Besides that, we are still waiting on 2 of our LEDs, the colored tops up by the pub, to be replaced. We're getting brand new ones shipped to us, and like everything else, it's going to take time for them to get shipped here. Once we get the new ones, we'll install them. They'll start working like all the rest. And then we will send the 2 back, and they'll send us 2 more replacements so we can put on the shelf. So it's been a long time coming, but I guess getting a couple extra ones is a good thing. High in Harrison, since I wrote this up, a lot of things have changed, which is great. High Street is pretty much gravel ready. Hopefully by the end of the week, we might see all the curb and gutter in. So they're supposed to be mobilizing in tomorrow. I haven't heard otherwise, but we'll start getting that curb and gutter placed in the urban section from Fulton down to the hill, or the apartments, I like to say. Harrison Street had a lot happening. We have all the lead lines replaced now for the project, which is about 33 lines between High Street and Harrison Street. We have a few more to do around the city, which we will get to here in short order. But so Harrison, we have some more underground work with storm sewer, but that should be wrapping up pretty quickly as well. Waterside PFAS, I know I've mentioned this before. We did conduct some sampling or in cooperation with the DNR. We did just get results back today, and they're very low or to non-detect. So we are having a meeting here soon, kind of a debrief within the utility and then also with the DNR. And we're going to publish some information on what that is, or what these chemicals are and what they mean to our system. But certainly at this point, we have no concerns, which is great to say. Doesn't always work out that way. Mount Tom standpipe, that is finished. That's been recoated. Got to go up there and take a look at the beautiful blue water tower. Facility side, probably the big thing, well, no, maybe not the big thing, but the nice thing to look at is all the new flower pots that are around City Hall. So more color, more flowers, people are loving it. We got a few more out there, so keep it beautiful. The big project, the facility, so we're getting really close to getting this design ready for bids. It's going to be advertised real soon. I'll be taking the plan for site plan review to Plan Commission here in the near future, next month. And then we expect to have those bid results back to council in early October, that first meeting in October. And in the meantime, with the capital plan, we'll be discussing that in more detail as well. And a couple oddball work anniversaries. Mike Waupaca, lucky 13 years at the city. And Zeb Mina on our water side, 19 years. That's it.
Thanks. Then, Paul, go ahead.
I have a question in regards to our purple streetlights.
Yes.
I had read, well, it's true. I've read that WPS is saying that it's less than 1%, but if you even just do a walk around of my neighborhood, it's closer to 30 to 50%. Have those poll numbers been forwarded to WPS so that they're aware that those specific polls are defective?
Yes, when we have time, or if we get a call, we send those in. So if you have a list, that would help us. But they do have, that's part of their program now, is to try and phase out these purple ones, which are defective lights. I can't speak on the total percentage. I know the ones in the Lake Street area, those are all replaced around 2017, 2018. Those are purplish blue.
A lot of them, yeah.
So yeah, if you have them, you can share them with us.
The other thing is I had one of my constituents ask about increased truck traffic on South State Street. Is there any construction that we're doing or anything that's rerouting some trucks down in that area, or anything that you'd be aware of that would be?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I mean, we have Harrison closed off, but that's 49 around Hardee's and up to Iola, so that shouldn't have an effect on that. So.
Are you talking like 18-wheeler truck traffic?
Yeah,
it is a county highway, but you're right.
It's always been a county highway,
yeah.
But I've noticed it myself. There's a lot of increased semi-truck traffic on that road recently. So looking for an answer, that's all.
Yeah, and you didn't get one, so.
No, I
maybe
did
you
not.
could- Maybe you could do a little more research for us, let us know where the trucks are coming from.
Now I'm
Sit on your front porch.
And the numbers for the light posts?
Stop those truckers.
Yeah.
All right.
You looking for a job? We could hire you.
Mr. Mayor and Justin, I've also heard from constituents about the same purple light problem. And do you have so I don't redundantly send you the same lights you already know about. My area is Lake Street, of course, and people have asked me about it. Do you have a list of the ones you've already are aware of so that we don't do that redundantly?
Yeah. If you just submit them, email, call, whatever, we'll keep track of it.
All right.
Okay, anybody else? Thanks, Justin. You notice that Laura is not here tonight. She's actually on vacation. So we'll go right over to the chief. Chief Lozelle.
Thank you, Mayor. My report can be found on page 29. Many of you did a tour of the police department with Sergeant Rodens a few months ago. And a few of the things that he talked about in the building and projects that were coming up. Next week, Tuesday, Axon's actually coming and they're going to upgrade our camera system that we have inside the police department. That was a capital project that we had. We've been working with them, so they will be coming. That'll be a 2-day process for them to complete. And Josh is going to assist them with that, so it's nice that Josh will be able to be there to help them to integrate it into our system. One of the other things that we had happen is we had some problems with some exterior doors that we had to replace. That wasn't something that was planned. So we did have to have a local builder come in and replace. So far they've replaced 2 of the 3 exterior doors. We were having some problems with them opening and closing, and as well as the security strips on the inside were starting to fail, so we were getting a lot of alarms all the time. So those are being updated. We also, over the weekend, we assisted the Lakemen. They had a baseball game on Sunday. Wes Zuby and Jerry Allen did a fundraising event. They prepared all the food. Wes had smoked some pork shoulders, and Jerry does what she always does with baking and really overdoing all the cooking and everything. But we raised probably a little over $1,100 after bills are going to be paid, and that money is going to be used for updating some crime scene into equipment that we hadn't budgeted for. So like at nighttime, a lot of times they're dealing with certain situations and we didn't have any electric lights or small generators, so they're going to purchase one of those. And then they're also going to purchase some of the tarps that go on PVC pipe to protect from the exterior so people can't see what's going on. If something bad happens, that we can block that off. So those are some things that weren't budgeted for. And then the last thing I think that I want to touch on is we just completed a hiring process for a vacancy that we had. And when we got done through it, there was only one applicant that met the criteria. However, that person accepted a job at a different municipality. So we went back out and we are re-advertising for another position, and hopefully we can get some qualified candidates by the end of August, and that's to fulfill the position with one of the officers that just left. That's all that I have.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Anybody have any questions for the chief? All right. Josh, you snuck in, so.
When I start work, so last year was the first year we mailed out a 12-month calendar to all the residents and businesses in the city. We're working on doing that for another year, so working on a draft copy of that. And shortly we'll be doing another photo contest to get 13 photos to fill that calendar, so be on the lookout for that. IT side of things, I am upgrading our wireless access points that we have at the parks. The system we have is now obsolete, not supported anymore, and the rumor is the cloud control that runs it will probably be ending soon, so I've got to get ahead of that. We're going to be making some changes to the computer lab at the rec center. We've been looking at statistics and usage, and we're going to be relocating that to a different space in the building that's going to be a better fit than where it's at, and that's going to open up some extra room for the senior center to do some other programming. Waupaca Online side of things, last week we equipped the 11th and final tower on the county project, so they all have equipment. Staff is still doing about 2 or 3 customer installations a day. We've had our 2 best months ever the past 2 months with 26 customers added each month. So that's been moving pretty quick. And then we applied for 2 Public Service Commission broadband grants. One of those was to upgrade the tower here at City Hall, which is still in need. That one was denied. The other grant was to upgrade to some licensed backhauls, and that increases our capacity, increases speed potential. That one has been awarded. I haven't received official communication yet from the PSC that we can move forward, but on their narrative that they released, that's one that they are going to be funding. So that's going to be a upcoming project pretty quick here as well. And that ties in nice with the county project, because some of those upgrades will go right onto a few of those towers and areas that make sense. And that's all I've got.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Anybody have any questions, comments? Go ahead, Paul.
I see that you're selling a bunch of computers on the state surplus
Yeah.
website, so
Finally got around to cleaning some old junk out.
I was thinking if I want a bit of Waupaca nostalgia computer, I could get $5 buys you one.
We'll see what they go for. Some of them, there's a couple decent ones in there. There's some older ones in there, but it's, if we can get $10, $15, that helps pay for something else instead of them just going to get recycled. So
I thought I'd mention it.
All right. Josh, thanks. Sandy, you're up.
Thank you. My report is found on pages 36 and 37. We have another successful election in the books. We ended with 1,293 total voters, which was a 42% turnout, issued a total of 341 absentee ballots, and registered 56 new voters on Election Day. Our Badger books, which are the e-poll books, are here, and we will be using them in the November general election. So we'll get the word out and plan on advertising. And that's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Sandy. Anybody have any questions for Sandy? Comments? All right, let's go to the unfinished business part of our agenda. We have a second reading on ordinance number 17-2022, and Justin and Jarrett, which one of you guys is handling this?
I'll take a crack at it. Since it's going in the Public Works Code, this is the second reading, so upon adoption tonight, it will be adopted. This is to, come up with regulations in guidance for small cell, commonly known as 5G. So it's coming, and we need to be ready for it. As we mentioned before, this ordinance is basically a template or several templates from League of Municipalities. So other cities have already adopted something very similar, and we kind of copied and pasted and felt put in there what we worked for us and was equivalent to other parts of the code in other areas. I guess the big thing that I'll focus on, and I'll turn it over to Jared for anything else, is on page 59 starts the general standards. And this is basically what these companies have to live up to. So 7C1A. So basically what they have to do while they submit this to us, A, is to minimize the extent possible any risk to public safety. Ensure the placement of facilities on existing structures is within the tolerance of those structures. Avoids placement of above-ground facilities in underground areas, installation of new support structures or equipment cabinets in the public right-of-way, or placement in residential areas when commercial areas are reasonable available. And, well, I keep going on similar to that. So it's geared around public safety and then aesthetics. So if they could put on an existing pole, if there's an alternate, they're supposed to explore that. And they're not supposed to, make things look tacky. They have to blend in and look nice.
I would say that sums it up pretty good. Couple comments to add. So we would be for this, if this were to be adopted, if applications were to come in, we would need to just go with or adopt the standard fee schedule that has been put in place by the state. So the state does put cap limits on what you can charge for these sort of things. So I forget the act, if it was Act 14, I forget which act was set in place, but per that, the fees would look something along the lines of a $500 application fee for up to 5 sites, $100 for each additional site, $300 fee for any replacement of an existing utility pole, and that just coincides with our current permit that we would charge WPS or any energy company at the moment. A $250 annual fee for government-owned co-location sites, and then a $20 multiplied by the number of sites annual fee for right-of-way occupancy. So those are fees that were set in place by the act that went through the state, and those are fees that we really don't have a choice for unless we didn't want to charge them, if we wanted to charge them less or not charge them at all. So those are just kind of standardized to promote these small wireless facilities and not have municipalities go overboard, but also just try to maintain consistency throughout the state. So that is one thing I wanted to mention, but yeah, otherwise Justin really covered it. Really the main section is that section 7 general standards that we kind of took, and we didn't want to make so restrictive that we never, would ever see this technology come to the area, but we also want to make sure we were protecting and making sure everything looked nice when it does come to the community. So,
Thanks, Jared. Justin, thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments? We didn't get any. Did we get any public comment on this?
Not that I'm aware of.
not that I'm aware of.
All right, thanks. So, as they said, this is the second reading, so we'd be looking for a motion to approve this ordinance 17-2022.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Fair, that we approve ordinance number 17-2022. Discussion? Sandy, will call the roll?
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
And Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thanks, Justin. Jared. New business. This is a conditional use permit for Harmony Towers LLC and AT&T Mobility as the applicant for Mount Tom LLC as the owner. This is on Bailey Street, and I know, Jarrett, this is coming forward from City Planning Commission, so I'll turn it over to Jarrett.
Thank you very much, Mayor. All right, so this is a conditional use permit for a mobile tower. And again, I'll state this is the conditional use permit. The site plan is approved at Plan Commission, so that was already approved, contingent on the approval of a conditional use permit. So we are just looking at the conditional use permit and what the conditional use permit requires here. This is for Mount Tom LLC, Harmony Towers. The parcel is unaddressed, but it is on Bailey Street. It'll become addressed once the site plan is approved. The current zoning district is R1, which does allow for mobile towers. Through this conditional use process, there are a set list of questions that need to be answered, and that's really what the state ties us to answering. And if those answers are yes, then it would need to be approved. If they are answered with no, or if this is denied, we would need to ensure that we have reasonable and very explanative answers as to why that was voted down or why this was answered with no, and why ultimately the conditional use permit was denied. So to assist with that, I know Plan Commission did have, it was kind of back and forth. We didn't have these right in front of us at Plan Commission, so staff worked with Attorney Sorensen to put together this one page. He labeled it a record of decision for cell tower construction, which it should be record of decision for cell tower conditional use permit. This was added as a separate attachment. So if you didn't have it up, you'd have to go back to the website and pull this up. But it is a series of 6 questions. So I just kind of wanted to run through each of those. This is really what we went through at Plan Commission, just in a very roundabout and probably unorganized way. So just kind of running through these. These are taken right out of Wisconsin State Statute, Section 66-04042B. So the first one was the identity of the applicant properly provided in the application. Staff did provide page numbers. They are on multiple pages, of course, but staff felt this one could be answered on page 88. Number 2 is, did the applicant provide sufficient, and staff would feel that was answered with yes. Number 2, did the applicant provide sufficient details so that council could determine the location of the structure and related mobile service facilities? Again, on multiple pages, 95, 126, and other pages, staff felt this was answered with yes. Number 3, did the application contain a construction plan which describes the mobile service structure and associated elements that complies with all building and zoning code requirements? So again, with the approval of the site plan, that would answer the building or the zoning code requirements. Building is looked at and adjusted as needed, but the construction plan can be found on page 100 to 125 of your packets here today, your normal council packets. Number 4 is, did the application provide an explanation as to the reasons behind the choice of particular location? That can be found on page 81 and 85, 81 through 85, as well as throughout the packet and other pages. Number 5, did the applicant provide an explanation as to why co-location was not chosen? That could be found on, again, page 81 through 85, where they provide a bunch of explanation on those questions. And then we get to number 6. Number 6 is a bit of a unique question. So did the applicant provide the council with a sworn statement from an individual who has responsibility over the placement of the mobile service support structure, attesting that one or more, it needs to be one, it could be 2, it could be 3, but it needs to be at least one of the following are sufficiently met? The co-location, and then these are the 3. So that co-location within the applicant's search ring would not result in the same mobile service functionality, coverage, or capacity. So that can be found on page 81 through 85, and also the separate propagation maps that were included as attachments after the fact. So staff feels that one could be answered with yes. B is, was there a sworn statement that is technically infeasible? So there was not a sworn statement that there's technically infeasible, and it is not technically infeasible for them to co-locate. So that would be answered with no. But again, one or more of these need to be answered with yes. And letter C is was there a sworn statement that co-location is economically burdensome to the mobile service provider? And again, that can be found on page 81 through 85, their explanation or their sworn statement that they submitted. So going through this list of requirements per the state statute, staff felt that, again, by outlining each page that all of these are on, each of the answers was yes, except for letter 6 or number 6B, which was no, but that one can be no as the other 2 are yes. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the questions that would need to be answered. If council felt that one of these were not being met, and it was answered with no, and ultimately it was denied, there would just need to be again, reasonable explanation or extensive explanation as to why that was voted no. And I will point out again, the state statute does not ask if we believe it is sufficient, as none of us are probably experts in that, myself included. It is just asking that these things are included in the application. So not saying that we don't have to determine that the sworn statement for one of these is correct. We just have to ensure that they have submitted a sworn statement. So that's kind of the gist of it. I will let Aaron comment if he has any other comments, but otherwise I'm happy to take any questions with this one. it was recommended by staff, and then when it was recommended by Plan Commission, there were a couple nays. I forget the exact vote, but it was ultimately recommended by Plan Commission.
I have no further comments at this time. Happy to help answer questions. Jared, I think you did a nice job explaining it.
Any of the planning commissioners have any comments at this time? Anybody, council members, questions? Again, remember that this was recommended by City Planning Commission to be approved. So they're recommending to council that it be approved. So ultimately, you would need to make a motion that you either approve it tonight or deny it. We need to act on it tonight.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for the applicant.
All right, we have a motion by Veliker,
Second.
second by Prochatsky, that we approve the issuance of a conditional use permit for Harmony Towers LLC and AT&T Mobility as the applicant and Mount Tom LLC owner for the property located on Bailey Street, of course known as Mount Tom. Any further discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Dave Peterson,
Abstain.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
No.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Scott Prochatsky,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
and Mary Fair.
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried. Eight aye, 1 no, 1 abstain. Sorry.
Sorry, motion carried though. All right, moving on. Then we have a request from the Waupaca Rotary to close East Fulton Street for Oktoberfest.
All right, I'll take this one. Thank you, Mayor. You can actually, I think I've got to do a radio ad. Do you want to do it with that voice
Yeah,
that is
you-
used?
Yeah, right.
I'll give you the date. You can do it in my place.
Who came up with the name? That's pretty awesome,
I think
actually.
it was Barb, Barb Ladke. So
I bet Justin could pull that. We can use it already.
I think so too. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not sure the polka band really fits into the rock polka.
Yeah,
Just once.
that's right.
Well, you don't know polka.
So on page 134 of your packet, there's a letter drafted by Barb and myself, just explaining the event. I already kind of gave that explanation in the report earlier in the evening. Just a couple reminders. This is going to be an event on Friday, September 23rd, and the tent will have to start being set up in the evening. We're saying 5 p.m. on Thursday, September 22nd, and it will actually be torn down on Saturday, September 24th, meaning that section of East Fulton Street would be closed during that time. We have spoke with the farmers market coordinator. Actually, the farmers market is going to be able to utilize that tent during the farmers market, and they'll set up some vendors underneath it. And then at about 2 o'clock, when the farmers market closes, that will be taken down by our local company here. I did attach a site map. You can see kind of an explanation of where the road will be closed. This is on page 135. You can see where the main stage tent will be set up. There will also be a food tent over on actually what is the bank's property to the east. And then you can see where the red lines are. That's where it would be barricaded and closed off for through traffic. Felt it was important to keep, if at all possible, keep the full parking lot open behind the library and City Hall to allow for when cars come in there to circulate back through. So that is the plan right now, and their request from Rotary is to approve the closure of East Fulton Street for that time period.
All right, any comments? Anybody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, who, Lori? Motion by Chestnut, second by Hagan, that we approve the request from the Waupaca Rotary to close East Fulton Street for Friday, September 22nd from 5 p.m. through the end of the farmer's market on Saturday, September 24th until approximately 2 p.m. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, council.
Next up, we got bid package B, approvals for Swan Park Splash Pad Playground Project. Aaron?
All right, thank you again, Mayor Smith. On page 136 of your packet, council members, you'll see a memo that outlines the process we've gone through here. Before I even start this, I want to mention John Kinnear from Rutler and Associates, who's been really a point man on this whole project from the get-go, long before I got involved, is here to help answer any questions as well. John, thanks for everything and getting us to where we are tonight. Just a little background on August 2nd, earlier this month, you guys, council approved the use of South Park renovation dollars from 2013 to help bridge the gap in this. And we're here to, with a balanced budget for this project, and we're here to approve all of the bids that were submitted as a part of bid package B. I also want to kind of just clarify something that's a little confusing. I did have a council member reach out earlier, and we have a lot of A's and B's, and some are titled contracts and bid packages. Please just know that earlier, I believe it was in May, the full bid package A was approved. This is bid package B with contracts within it, contracts A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. So there are some numbers that you may have seen and you thought, well, that contradicts itself, but just kind of keep that in mind as we go through this. So contract A within bid package B was general site construction. This was Falks Brothers here in town. They were our only bidder. The bid result, as you can see, is $426,000 or just over that, $577.89. This does include all site work, removal of the playground, the building foundation for the bathrooms, and actually after they submitted the bid, and being that they're the only bidder, they actually did knock off $25,000 in total as an in-kind contribution for this. So that is greatly appreciated. It also should be noted that we are suggesting waiving the bid bond requirement for this, and that saves the city $4,000. Falks Brothers is somebody that we've gone with many, many times, and we did not feel like that was a good use of $4,000. Original contract B, this is where things get a little different. This was for the bathroom facility, the electrical site work, and the signage. So that was all supposed to be in contract B. We got two bids back for that. The low bid was Ellis Construction. The high bid was SD Ellenbecker. And you can see there the low bid was $381,042.80. In consultation with John and Rutler and all of us, Justin, Josh, we just felt that those are both astronomically high costs. When we figured our price per square foot for the bathrooms, and this is a block bathroom, we were well over $700 a square foot, which led us to just look into alternatives. John looked into a company that he has worked with in the past called Huff Cut Concrete, I should say. What they do is they provide precast concrete buildings that are used in parks around the state and around this part of the country. They look nice. I believe there's a rendering in your packet that shows about what that would look like. And they did come back with considerable savings. They have a quote in here that you'll see in contract C. That's $147,950. Now, not going with a company like Ellis Construction, we had to get separate quotes and have this done separately. So we've got a B, a C, and a D. I just mentioned contract C from Huff Cut Concrete at the $147, but we also had a contract B for site electrical. That's Hubbard Electric, and that is also a company that I'm not as familiar with, but I know John has done work on other projects with Hubbard, has had good luck with the quality of work that they've done with that company, and that quote came back at $28,449. Contract C would be an entry sign. This is not something we need to act on tonight. This was because none of these alternatives were a part of the original bid package. We don't have a 60-day deadline. However, we do have enough information to act on a couple of them, just not that entry sign yet. We're still waiting on information that'll come forward in the near future. All in all, going with this alternative option, if you take what the low bid was from Ellis Construction and parsing it out like this, we saw about $169,000 in savings, a little over that in total project expenses, and we're getting what we feel like is the desired product. We don't feel like we're sacrificing quality with that. At the bottom of page 137, you can see a summary of project expenses. You can see the total for bid package A and what I'm calling the bid package B alternate. And then there was some other things in there that were not a part of bid package A or bid package B, as far as like design. Sometimes we budget out as a separate capital item the design for a project. This was all just included in the capital budget for this. And then there's also some permitting through the DNR, some engineering work. That's $118,000. And you can see the project funding sources just to the right of that. And we have it covered, not by much, but it's covered through our private donations, DNR grants, and city capital funds. So what our recommendation is to have a series of actions here. These would all be separate actions. We would be looking to accept the Falks Brothers bid, as previously mentioned, for an amount not to exceed $426,577.89. We'd be looking to take a separate action then to reject both the Ellis Construction and SD Ellenbecker bid from the original contract B. Then we'd be looking to approve, after that, the Hubbard Electric Inc. bid or quote for a cost not to exceed $28,449 to be paid for from private donor dollars, and also approve Huff Cut Concrete's contract for a cost not to exceed $147,950 to be paid from the private donor dollars.
All right, well,
I'm done.
Okay. Let's go back then, and as Aaron has suggested, we have numerous motions that we need to act on tonight, and the first one was actually Fox Brothers, and staff is recommending that we approve the agreement for the general site construction and give that to Fox Brothers for an amount not to exceed $426,000, $577.89. Anybody like to make that as a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Perchatsky. Any discussion?
I got a question. One of the things you mentioned that they're going to be doing is removing the old playground. Is there any value in that? What are they going to do with it?
Honestly, the value in it is the discounted cost that it costs us because of what they can get for scrap. There are liability issues with reusing playgrounds, which is why this was really our best option. And it is a ton of work for our limited staff to deconstruct that whole thing. So.
All right.
Okay, anybody else? Sandy will call the roll.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next up, in the order that Aaron gave it, staff is recommending that we reject the bids from both Ellis Construction and SD Ellenbecker for the original contract B. Would you like to make that in the form of a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peterson, second by Fair, that we reject the bids from Ellis Construction and JD Ellenbacher. Any discussion? Sandy, call roll.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
And Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next up is approval of agreement with Hubbard Electric in an amount not to exceed $28,449.
Move to approve. I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Motion by Martin,
Second.
second by Veliker, that we approve the agreement with Hubbard Electric. Any discussion?
I do have a really stupid question, Aaron, I'm sorry. The money that we moved from the South Park Fund, that's rolled into the private donations?
Yes.
Number of the summary project funding sources?
Good question. Yes, it is. It's
All right,
included
thank
in
you.
there. Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Sandy will call the roll.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Scott Prochatsky.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
And Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, and then the last one, dealing with the splash pad, is to improve Huff Cut Concrete for a cost not to exceed $147,950. We want to make that motion?
So
Move to
moved.
approve.
Motion by Olson,
Second.
second by Veliker, that we approve Huff Cut Concrete contract for an amount not to exceed $147,950. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Scott Prochatsky.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
And Paul Mayo.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thank you. John, thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks, John.
Next up, we have distribution facilities installation agreement for Swan Park. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. So this starts on 177. This is an agreement with Wisconsin Public Service to install that new electrical service. I mentioned, or I started talking about this one at the last meeting where we got the easement, and had to wait on this one, obviously, to wait for the financial component of it to be approved by council. The easement, getting that rolling first, kind of got us on the schedule because we need to get this thing in place before our contractors can start rolling. Can you scroll up one page, please, Aaron?
Yep.
And zoom out. So right now, our existing playground is right there in the middle, and this electrical line basically crosses directly underneath the future playground, the future splash pad, and then just barely underneath the shelter to the right side there of that picture. What this would create, the past easement that we approved, plus this agreement for Wisconsin Public Service, would reroute this line so that as it came from Brainerd's Drive, it would turn and go underneath the sidewalk near the parking lot, and then basically follow the trail to the concession stand. So that if, we don't want this major service line underneath these new improvements, so we have to move them, get them out of the way. In case we ever need to get to them again, then we just replace concrete, not a beautiful splash pad. So, so what I'm looking for is council to approve this agreement with Wisconsin Public Service for an amount not to exceed $10,200.21.
All right, anybody have any questions? Anybody would like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Fair, a second by Chestnut, that we approve entering into a distribution facilities installation agreement with Wisconsin Public Service Corporation for at Swan Park in an amount not to exceed $10,200.21. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Scott Prochatsky.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
And Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next up, we have a resolution number 1522. This is a resolution authorizing execution of the Department of Natural Resource Principal for Given Financial Assistance Agreement. Okay, Justin.
That's me again, yep. Starting on 179 of the packet, this is a resolution, and this is with the Wisconsin DNR for a lead line program. So we have been awarded up to $280,000 to replace lead service lines, and that is just to pay for the private side. The public side, the water utility pays for, but everything on the private side, which is the homeowners, gets covered underneath this allocation. So what this resolution will do, will make this financial assistance agreement official between the city, Wisconsin DNR, and through the EPA. So upon approving the resolution, they need the mayor and clerk to sign off and attest on this, saying that the city will accept these funds and then follow the rules and regulations set forth to ensure that the funds are used appropriately. And that is what follows on page 180 and through, is all the details of these agreements. This is not the first time we've done this. I mean, the major aspects of these agreements is that we have to follow federal regulations, Davis-Bacon wage rates when they apply, American iron and steel, can't pay for anything on the public side, etc. The $280,000 is what they call a principal forgiveness loan, which means it's basically a grant. So it's allocated to the city, which we reimburse basically the contractors and the property owners that replace their lines. We don't, the city, the utility doesn't get a dime of this money, so it's going directly to the homeowners. So the terms are there in the financial assistance agreement, and upon approval of the resolution, this is official, and we will get that disbursement, and I'll start paying off the contractors and the homeowners as they've been getting replaced already. So,
All right. Henry, go ahead.
Justin, do you have any sense of how many private lines we think we can replace with that money? You know, you probably have, they're all different costs probably, but do you have like half?
Yeah, we're targeting about, I think the official number this year is 38 is what it is. So we had roughly 550 when we started a number of years ago. We're down to 440 at the beginning of this year. So then at the end of this year, we'll be close to 400. So we're on track to replacing them all in about 10 years.
And this 280 will do more, about 38.
Yes, roughly 40.
Thank you.
Paul, go ahead.
Justin, what do you do with the old lead?
They get recycled. They are brought to a recycling processing center, and they are separated. There is statute regulation on what they can be used for next, and where they go from there.
Like what?
I don't know, but I do know they do get properly recycled because that is part of the stipulation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Looking for a motion to approve resolution number 1522.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Chestnut, that we approve resolution number 1522, 22. Any discussion? Sandy, will call the roll?
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
And Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Justin.
Yep.
Next up, we have revised aircraft hangar lot lease. Paul Hagan?
Sure. The airport board wanted to correct a situation in which people were being charged $1,000 when they initially purchased their lot or leased their lot, and they thought that this was unfair. So in the future, what we're going to be doing is anyone who transfers a lease is going to be, just have the regular amount rather than an additional amount. Am I doing, is that about?
Yeah, no, that's right on.
Yeah, so, so it just requires just a slight modification in the agreement.
Okay. And Airport Board is recommending this, so would
Yes.
you like to make the motion?
Yes, I would like to make that in the form, thank you, Mayor. I would like to make that in the form of a motion, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Prochaski. Motion by Hagan, second by Prochaski, that we approve the revised aircraft hangar lot lease. Any discussion? Sandy, will call the roll?
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Scott Prochaski,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
and Barry Fair.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next up, we have a mayor's appointment, so I'll turn that over to President Paul Mayo.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor appoints Bruce Dosher to the Airport Board to replace Andrew Whitman. After hearing the mayor's appointment, I need a motion and a second to approve it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by Chestnut, to approve the mayor's appointment of Bruce Dosher to the Airport Board to replace Andrew Whitman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Back to you, Mayor.
Thanks, Paul. Next up, you have License Report 1588, which is dealing with an operator's license. You can see that on page 209 of your packet, last page of the packet. There are 4 names in there. We're just looking for a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Fair, second by Hagan. We approve License Report 1588. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Communications and recommendations of the mayor. I know Aaron has touched on this. I just want to elaborate just a little bit on this. We were supposed to have a committee of the whole meeting tonight. It didn't work out, and actually, I think it's probably good that it didn't. We expect this meeting that's going to be on Wednesday, August of this month, August 31st, and it's going to start at 6 p.m. It is just a committee of the whole meeting, so you're not going to be making decisions, but it will be a discussion on the budget process, so we're going to leave it just to talking about that part of the budget. And we'll have to see how it goes. We might decide, we have a number of committee of the whole meetings that are set up in September and October. We might find out that we're better off just holding those separately from regular city council meetings. We'll find out when we get to the 31st meeting. And we'll obviously ask you what you think is best for that. You did notice tonight that we did have department head reports. We did have a couple of people that thought that it wasn't necessary, but the majority of the people thought that we should continue the department head reports tonight. So, and I thought they did a great job of informing the public of what's going on. So, anybody else have anything for the good of the meeting tonight? All right.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Hagan. Second. Second by Peterson, that we adjourn until our next meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 7:30.